Coming up this week on Serious Joy, the Mega Monthly Zodiac Report is on the way. It's Aries season and we're christening the Migo. Is your ego ready for the reboot? Join me, Sensei Christopher Witecki, and lead astrologer Robbie Hunt as we join forces to kick off a new astrological year. Premiering this week on SeriousJoy.com. Hello and welcome to AstroMingle, the spiritual podcast that mingles with the talented lightworkers and innovative influencers of our time. I'm your host, your curious host, Sensei Christopher Witecki, the Sensei to Serious Joy. It's a pleasure to be here. And we are streaming live with this little talk show on all of our network channels. So if you're in any of the super chats, be sure to say hello to your cosmic cousins and tell us where you are streaming from. And if you want, for a bonus, your astrology sign, because after all, I'm still an astrologer. We have an exciting show tonight. We're going to talk to two people coming through one body. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, we want to talk about Unite the Light. It's coming up around the corner, and it's a word today from our sponsor.
Whether you have answers or you're seeking answers,
there's something here for everyone.
The love that is felt in the room, it's unmatched.
Talking to all these other people and all these different stages of life.
Energy changing, next level.
It's allowing me to have tears of joy, not the tears of sadness that I've had for so long.
They've all been super inspiring.
I've been brought to tears.
I'm learning how to love myself.
I've never felt so comfortable in my life.
It has been a blast. Highly recommend.
By the way, if you want to rub elbows with other people who are in the light in 5D, Unite the Light is a way to do it. It was amazing last year. I mean, I could not believe the vibration that we felt. And just the togetherness, the family, it's amazing. Not to mention the innovative influence that you'll get to meet in person, hanging out 3 days with lightworkers. It's incredible. Find out more by going to unitethelight.love. There's tickets available now. And if you're a Serious Joy subscriber, you get $100 off. Just inquire at Serious Joy how to get that. Well, we're going to have a great topic tonight. I mean, this is one of my favorite topics, really, which is mediumship. I'm personally fascinated by all the amazing mediums that have been popping up in modern times, giving us insights to galaxies and past life personalities. And tonight, our guest is one of the best. Jill M. Jackson is an internationally celebrated psychic medium, channel, spiritual teacher, and award-winning author. Born in the Bible Belt, Jill began seeing spirits at a young age. As a child, this was very frightening, especially after her preacher declared that her gifts were evil and from the devil. Striving to fit in and lead a normal life, she pursued a successful career as a CPA, a business manager in Hollywood. But after a few near-death hospital experiences, Jill was inspired to change her life's path and come out of the psychic closet. It's now Jill's passion and mission to help others ignite their inner joy and discover their life's own purpose. She shares her wisdom and expertise through personal readings, events, social media, and online. She's also written several books, including Manifesting Your Magic in the 5D and Mississippi Medium. With warm heart and gratitude, please let's welcome Step 5 Pisces, Jill Jackson. Yay!
Hi, Christopher.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. It's an honor, and I think what you do is amazing and a great thing for us in our world today, so thank you. Yeah, I know it comes at a little bit of a sacrifice. I guess the first question everyone wants to know is sort of how this happens. You know, are you just brushing your teeth one day and a voice comes through, or how do you discover this talent yourself?
So the mediumship, which is speaking to the other side, started when I was a child. I've been able to see the spirit world since as far back as I can remember. And the first connection where I could able to hear the spirit world when I was 12 years old and my grandmother passed away and she was floating above my bed and telepathically told me that she was okay, she wasn't sick anymore. And then for years, I did the mediumship and the psychic, and I was in a meditation one night, I believe in 2014, and that's when the channeling started. I was in a group, and the channeling just started coming through, and I resisted it for a while because, you know, those limiting beliefs that another medium had said to me, that if a medium starts channeling the higher realms, that they lose their connection with the mediumship. And, you know, as we do, sometimes we buy into these false narratives. And so I resisted it for a little while.
Huh. I've never heard that before. Must be an old medium tale. You know, when you were a kid, I'm just curious, as a child, did you know, like, to keep that secret? I mean, did you know it was real and that you shouldn't tell anyone? Or was it like a cartoon coming alive in your eyes, or?
You know, It was kind of an evolution of it. My mother was also a medium, but
Ah,
she never wanted to do it professionally. She didn't
okay.
want the responsibility of it. So, but as far as being in high school, there was only one friend that knew that I was a medium. I kept the rest of it quiet.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that. What about the Bible Belt? I mean, I've lived down there at times. I mean, I was a Catholic and I was scared because I wasn't a Baptist. Like, I can't imagine channeling the dead.
Yeah, and there's more churches in Mississippi per capita than any other state in the country. I'm sure you can
Wow,
believe that.
I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But there's a lot of gifted psychics and mediums here in the
Hmm.
Bible Belt. When I opened my school here, I ended up teaching over 250, and that was just in person in Mississippi.
Wow.
So yeah.
You know, in your book, Mississippi Medium, you discuss your transition from the Southern Baptists to communicating with the dead. Can you explain sort of that pivotal moment in the sense of, you said it was in 2014, I think, but more importantly, just for your belief structure and how you turned it around.
Yeah, that was years ago, when I was, probably a late teenager, when I just
Mm.
decided that the dogma of religion just wasn't for me
Hmm.
anymore because it seemed to be a lot of judgment, and, it didn't resonate, a lot of hypocrisy,
Mm.
so,
Yeah.
I left the organized religion then.
Mm. That's pretty young. So, my experience as an astrologer would say you probably had already come to that conclusion in a past life. You know,
Mm,
like, you know,
yeah.
and so you're kind of getting reacquainted with that fact because to have that kind of that kind of strength as a child is amazing. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it started anchoring in then, and I would try a few more times in my 20s and like go to different churches and keep trying, but it seemed to be the same
Hmm.
cycle to
Yeah.
me.
And for those who haven't channeled, can you describe just a little bit of like what it feels like on the inside when that energy comes in? Because just for people who might feel like they have the gift but are afraid to say.
Yes, it feels like there's 100 butterflies going through your body at the same
Wow.
time. Like it's this vibration feeling, and it takes a little bit to get used to and kind of understand how to navigate that energy.
But something you knew just to let it come up and just to like give over to it, basically.
Yeah, as long as you are protected, and I really recommend finding a spiritual teacher to help
Mhm.
you open up those channels, so to speak.
Is it true that we have to protect ourselves, you say, like from other entities or personalities like Richard Nixon that want to come through?
That's funny. Uh, Protection is really important, and grounding is really
Mm.
important. I mean, to be honest, though, I'm a lot more fearful of humans than I am of those in the other realms, especially nowadays.
Yeah, totally. I can imagine. Well, Edgar Casey, there's like rumors that he kind of burned himself out, from just doing it too much. Do you feel that that's also potentially a problem for mediums?
It's important to regulate our energy,
Okay.
and every medium is different. And for myself, over the years, I've determined how many hours a day I can successfully be of service, and
Okay.
then I need to rest, and I rest for a few days
Really?
between
Oh,
when
wow.
yeah. That's
Okay.
just me personally. Everybody's different.
Well, no, that's great. That's good to know. That's very interesting. I read that when you began channeling in 2014, starting with the Emerald Group, can you tell us more about what about them and what messages they had? Like they describe themselves as a group, basically.
Yeah, the first group that came in, that's when they were channeling that I was to write the book that I'm currently writing now, which is Children of the New Earth. And they
Okay.
started downloading information about what they were calling the Golden Ray children,
Mm,
who they started coming in about 2015.
mm,
And they have not had lifetimes on this planet, do not have any karma, and so, I resisted it for a while because I was not able to have biological children myself. And so I went
mm,
into fear and a little bit of ego around that, like, why me? And they explained
mm,
I was a gifted child, and this was part of my soul's blueprint to be able to help other parents and guardians of the
mm,
gifted children. So that was kind of the first experience um,
mm.
with full channeling.
Interesting. And that's interesting too. I noticed does it often come early, the channeling? I mean, I found I channeled something on my own. It was a system of astrology, but it came, way before I used it. You know what I mean? Like way before I was willing to use it. It seemed it was coming in for a long time before I had the courage and all came together. And it seemed like once I was ready, the audience was ready. So it felt like there was some sort of cosmic timing there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The same. Yes. Because again, I had been a working medium for many, many years when, the galactics started coming in and channeling through me. And so it's a different feeling. It's a completely different vibration in the body.
To feel very alien, like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so until then, you've been sort of like channeling Aunt Betty and stuff for clients, and now suddenly it's like some galactic something. I know. I imagine. I mean, I would be like, even my friends who do this, I'd be like, it's Emerald Group. You'd probably be a little nervous still even to tell them because it's so out of our norm, right, in society right now. Yeah.
Yes, it absolutely is. And like I said, I mean, most of our loved ones are vibrating, when they cross over, they're in like fifth and sixth dimension. I mean,
Okay.
you'll have a few evolved souls in the seventh dimension, but when ninth dimensional beings and group consciousness start coming through, it feels different in the physical body, and it takes a while to acclimate to that energy.
Would you say one dimension is more fun than the other? Is there any one
It,
dimension that comes to be because they all seem serious to me when I hear about them? Like yeah.
it depends on the personality. But yes, the higher dimensional beings they bring through more information for the collective, I would say. And, our loved ones, like you said, Aunt Betty brings through more information for the individuals. To me, mediumship has two purposes. One is to prove that we do survive our physical bodies by giving the evidence, and then also to provide healing to the people that are here in the earth plane still.
I mean, I've had a couple of readings. It seems like everyone's readings are getting better, by the way. I mean, I don't know if I'm finding better mediums or just the whole thing is getting sharper with the ascension of the earth. But like lately, the mediums readings I've been getting have been incredibly accurate. I mean, with just details that I've never had before. People that I know and recognize by their language and their speech patterns. Have you noticed that it's getting sharper?
Yes, and I believe it's two different things going on, Christopher. I mean, one is, your vibration is, continuing to raise higher and higher as well. So it's a resonance that you're connecting with those. And then yes, 100% the veils are thinning, and more people are coming into their gifts. And those of us who have been on the path and the journey for 10, 20, 30 years, the gifts are elevating 100%.
They are. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's across the board. Astrologers, other practitioners I'm seeing is just we're getting sharper and sharper. I'm seeing more and more visions, past life visions that are clearer and in higher resolution and more color. I mean, it's amazing. Now, when you tap in, it sounds like you're sort of a telephone booth. I mean, do you have a clamoring of people up there trying to get on the phone? Like, how do you determine, or is it kind of predetermined by someone up there handling the crowds for you?
That's a great question. So with mediumship, it is many times like a crowd. And, I'll tell my clients there's a reunion, a family reunion of sorts. But I have a gatekeeper that I work with, and I trained for many years. I trained at Arthur Findlay College in England. I trained in New York and in New Jersey, for years before I started doing this work professionally and then opened my own school. But yes, that is one of the main challenges is they rush you, and beginning mediums get a lot of it confused, like some of the evidence, because there's so many energies there.
Yes. I mean, it's only been the last couple of years that I can feel the difference of the different personalities talking, coming through. Because with clients, I'll get usually, I'm a medium, but I'm a psychic. But I'm connecting to them, I guess. So, but I can feel like I can feel the family. You can almost feel the emotion. They're like overexcited or calm, or you can feel like the wise beings that are just kind of sitting there by the side. They're just really calm. But for me, it seems like it. Yeah. Whereas when I started, it just all sounded like one voice. Yeah.
Yes. And in the beginning, when you first start, like you said, it's just all jumbled. And then sometimes it gets overwhelming for the medium because they're having so many clairsentient, the feelings, and there's so many talking at the same time. But that's where the training comes in, and
Yeah.
it's my passion to help psychics and mediums and channelers.
Well, that's great. I mean, we're lucky to have you, and you're so approachable and easy to talk to too. So,
Thank
um,
you.
when you began channeling Solomon, he's a ninth dimensional Pleiadian consciousness. Um, what was that like? How is that different? You said already ninth dimension is different. I guess we should ask if you can just give us a little difference of the dimensions in your perspective. I mean, you see them you hear from these dimensions every day, so you might have a different opinion than what we're being told from others.
So we're residing in the third dimension, but many people are familiar with the term the fifth dimension. It's kind of the buzzword right
There is.
now, and so many people believe that it's a physical location that we're going to, but actually it's just a state of consciousness and awareness, and integrating the fifth dimension inside each one of us. And then, the dimensions just keep going higher and higher as far as the soul's evolution. And so even on different planets, you can have beings vibrating in a different dimension.
So the ninth, I assume it's faster as you go up. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought.
Yes.
So we're the slowest you get. 2D is like even slower,
Yeah.
So you get faster, like a hummingbird, you just get faster and faster energetically. And so you're reading faster and faster energy. So what's the ninth dimension feel like versus the fifth?
Very different, because again, the loved ones that I'm communicating with on fifth and sixth, I mean, it did take me a while to get used to that energy, like we talked about for years. And then when the channeling started, I remember the very first time I channeled a higher dimensional group consciousness, I could only hold that energy for a certain amount of time. I got extremely nauseated because it was just so much, the energy is just so much different than the energy and the vibration of mediumship.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've had certain readings where I'm exhausted. I don't know where they come from, but I'm just exhausted after the reading. And then some reason I'm really hyper, it's interesting. Yeah.
Yes, very interesting.
Because you're connected. You're like on a rope, so you're being swung around, kind of, right? Like, yeah. That's interesting.
Yes.
Are they choosing to come to you? So Solomon chose to came to you, I guess is how it works, but he's also a collective, he represents a collective. So was there a vote? Did you have a resume on Indeed? Like, how did that go?
It takes them a while. It's an integration of energies, because it would be too overwhelming for them to just come through at one time. So that's what Solomon explained, is that they had been integrating their energy with my energy over time.
Wow.
And it was when I started sitting in a physical mediumship circle, which is a completely different vibration as well. I mean, that's in the dark, and that's when you have the table tipping and the trumpets, and that's an entirely different type of mediumship. And I started sitting in that and getting a lot of connection with the other realms. And Solomon came through in 2022. It's when I first connected with Solomon.
2022. Okay, that's interesting. So it's recent, really. I mean,
Yeah.
Astrologically, things really started shifting in 2022. Like in 2020, also.
Also, yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
We had Saturn conjunct Pluto, I think, in 2020. That was a real kibosh to the density. And we started, COVID came out 2 months later, so.
Yes.
So yeah, it's interesting. It was after that fact. Was there a reason for their timing that they mentioned, or they finally got through? The phone call finally went through.
Yeah, I guess my physical body was finally
Ready.
ready to work with their energy.
Wow, interesting. And so is it a collective through one
Yes.
voice Solomon? Okay.
It's a
That's always
collective.
interesting. Did they explain how that works for them?
Sort of. I mean, I'm able to try to explain it in human terms. It's the more that a soul evolves, when you reach a certain dimension, such as the ninth dimension, then it's easier for them, especially when they're coming through a human, to join together as a collective, and they bring the individual energies through the collective voice, if that makes sense.
Feels like they're telepathically connected and all kind of
Yes.
one mind. They're like all of one mind, and then they just kind of like send one dude or woman. Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
Thing.
And think about it, they've kind of showed me in this way, like when we get together with those of like mind, like when you're in a group setting and everybody's bringing their energy and the energy kind of continues going up and rising in frequency, it's kind of working in the same way.
Oh, yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's really fascinating. And so, what did Solomon say his reason was for connecting with you, or their reason was, I should say. They use the pronoun they, don't they?
Yes. Yeah, Solomon is a they. That, I have had incarnations as a Pleiadian. And so it was a soul contract. It was something that I had agreed to before this incarnation.
Yeah. So you're Pleiadian, and you volunteered when you came to incarnate on Earth. Is what you're saying? The Pleiadians have seemed a huge interest in the Earth. It seems like Pleiadians and the Syrians seem to be the most interested in us, and almost our parents. It seems like our cosmic parents. Yes. What have they told you their role is in Earth officially?
Helping us understand our energy and helping us remove our fears and the ego, because when we remove the ego, then we no longer have anger, wars, the control, the inequality, and these types of things. So they're helping us navigate that and understand that it's all about working with vibration.
And they are non-material. I mean, ninth dimension is like non-material. From what I understand, Pleiadians have a material and non-material species. Is that correct? Or culture?
Yes.
Some actually become solid, and some just stay in the clouds. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yes. Some are more multidimensional is probably the best way to describe. And what Solomon has said is that they can actually go in and out of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like even as a multidimensional being, that they can come into more of a form, but it's not the form like we would think of.
Okay. It's like a lighter form, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard that with Ascended Masters, like Saint Germain. He apparently can appear, disappear. And when he's here, he's kind of a light body. He appears transparent, but if you touch him, he feels solid. It's an interesting kind of, dynamic, right? Okay.
Yes.
Are they capable of appearing here or not? Are they capable of appearing?
Through orbs is mainly how they are appearing. Really? Because another thing that they've said is when they appear, their energy is so much higher than ours that, again, it would short circuit most humans. I mean, even in the physical mediumship circles that I sit in, when these beings come in and they'll introduce themselves in various ways, you are having some materialization, but for the most part, they keep their energy a little bit removed because it's so intense.
Yeah, like literally we were blind. It's just too much. Yeah. So how does Solomon come in for you? Like, do you see him, hear him, experience him? Like, is it a feeling? What's the process like?
Yes. Well, now I have learned I can just go into trance, and then Solomon comes in and begins communicating. And, I'm a full trance channel, so I don't have a recollection of what comes through. I'll have to go back and listen. The more I work with Solomon's energy, I will remember a few key words sometimes after I come out of channel, like when I'm channeling live and there's audience and they say, well, Solomon said XYZ, I'll kind of have a ding, 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 a recollection, but there's no way I could recite it again, if that makes sense.
Wow. So you just like wake up at a Walmart with an empty wallet wearing new clothes. How you got there. Solomon, you went shopping, you good? That's so funny. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's kind of scary, but I guess you just trust it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? They kind of, you're out for a while, now you're back. Yeah.
Well, in the beginning, and this is why it's so important to find a good spiritual teacher to work with. Don't just sit down one day and open up to the ninth dimension. In the beginning, my husband, who's also a psychic medium, would kind of be my anchor. And so he would help bring me back into my, physical body.
Wow, that's cool. Reminds me of Jane Roberts and her husband in the 70s. I don't know if you remember Seth series, yeah, but
Oh, is that how that was done
they were
as
a
well?
tour. Yeah, I don't think he was a psychic, but he was like, he was there for Jane like that way. It was like a partnership.
Yes.
It was really,
Yes.
yeah, because you can't. It seems like you can't do it alone. Actually, same with Edgar Casey, his wife, and him were really strong partners too. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Now I am able to come in and out, but in the beginning, no, he
Yeah.
needed to help me.
Too much.
Yeah.
So, is there like, would you say a primary message that the Pleiadians are trying to get to us right now through our head, especially now? I mean, or does it vary through time?
Yes, the main message right now is to really understand what's going on with the ego, because when we look at the division that is happening, not only around the world, but especially in our country right now, the root of it is fear and anger, and then that turns into control and division, and also not taking accountability. When we do not work with our own shadow, and we tend to project our own shadows towards others. And so that's what's going on right now on many, many levels.
Oh yeah. And I guess is this common for species? I mean, is this a phase that they've helped, many other alien races, or are we uniquely stupid?
Well, that's a great question. Yes, there's been an evolution with all species.
Okay.
Humanity's no different. However, planet Earth is a very, very dense place and dimension. And, everyone that agreed to incarnate, and especially now during these evolutionary and revolutionary times, agreed to it on a soul level. Sometimes we ask ourselves what the heck we were thinking, right?
Yeah. Didn't see this in the brochure. What was this? Yeah.
Right.
You said there's like a Pleiadian Council of 8 share about humanity's future. I mean, and do they ever explain their meanings by Council of 8, or they
Yeah.
tell you what that means? Yeah.
Yeah, the same. It's just and Earth would really benefit from this type of leadership where you lead as a group, as a collective, rather than an individual or someone wanting to be the king or wanting to be the queen. The higher dimensional beings that are more evolved have understood that it's much better to bring others together and have a collective. And so that's what the different councils are.
So like a council would be a president now or something to that effect. Like it's a council. Yeah.
Well, but it's a group. It's
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like they have 8,
yes.
they have 1.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. That's what I'm
Yes.
saying. Yeah. Okay. Got you. That's fascinating. Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting insight. Thank you. And so what did the council, how did the council different than Solomon?
The council's only come through, I believe, a couple of times. Yeah, and I honestly don't even remember a lot. It's been a while since they came through. I think a few years. Also, I've predominantly been working with Solomon for some time.
And is Solomon's main message also, teaching ego and overcoming it, or does he have his own? They have their own like educational agenda.
Yeah, just helping us understand what is happening and what a pivotal time we're in right now in the evolution of our species. I mean, it's we're really at a crossroads, and there's different timelines that could be anchored in depending on what percentage of humanity actually unplugs from the dogma and the control and the separation. That's the main message, is that humans for the most part have not understood the energy of connection and unity and how we're all connected with each other.
And that's worrying them, obviously. We
Yes.
don't seem to get that perspective. Obviously,
Right.
they expected us to, maybe, or they were hoping that we would, and we haven't, huh? Yeah.
Yes. Hmm.
But surely they must see that there's, certain, single humans, not councils, and also councils that seem to want that, like, certainly they see that we have our own people working against us. Yes.
It's really interesting when they channel through because it's from a place of non-judgment and acceptance. And it's so interesting because even I have a moon in Aries, so I tend to be a little bit fiery and,
Hmm.
and I'm kind of a voice and an activist personality, and I speak out. And, when I kind of get on a roll in that energy, and then I channel Solomon, Solomon will lovingly, remind that it's important for us to keep our vibration at a certain frequency. And one thing that Solomon channeled is that to successfully navigate the spiritual war that we are in on this planet, that the only way to be successful is through the energy of love.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's,
So he's a
and
hippie. No, I'm kidding.
right.
Yeah. I gotcha. One last question, and I think we get to hear from Solomon tonight. I heard last night you channeled some controversial message from Solomon and his view on politics, which is interesting. Is that something you regret sharing, or did that create more fallout than good, or do you not think that was the right thing to do? There's similar with another medium came out too. Among our circle was talking about it too. So it seems like the aliens got real nervous last month or a couple months ago. Because Bashar did too. It's interesting.
I did hear Bashar. So just to be clear, Solomon is not the one that gave the information on the
Oh,
politics that I did come out with. That was my own. That was Sasha, and she's not a ninth dimensional. She's my main spirit guide, and
okay.
I've been getting prophetic messages for about 20 years,
Mm,
and so that was more prophetic,
got it.
not so much from Solomon. But I did hear when Bashar did.
It is, yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting.
But
So
it's yeah.
so okay. So it was a relative, basically a pissed off relative. So you're saying, like, yeah, basically, yeah. My parents, yeah, my relatives are still pissed in heaven too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, Sasha and Lady Fiona, who I channel, have had lifetimes here
Mm,
on this planet, and so they can kind of look at things from a different perspective. Whereas Solomon is trying to help us remember that as light workers and star seeds, it's so important for us to keep our vibrational frequency high
yeah.
and rather not lower it, to that same division. And again, it's easier said than done, right?
Not for me. Just kidding. No, but
Yeah.
it is here. For whatever reason. Although I am seeing, I don't know. I'm curious on perception of you and Solomon. I mean, it feels like things are getting lighter, but it could just be I'm going off on a new timeline and leaving everyone behind. I'm not sure.
I felt lighter in the last couple of days,
Yep.
and Solomon had channeled about the new energy. In fact, I did a whole YouTube on it because I was so excited about it. And Solomon was talking about the influx of energy that was coming in
Yeah.
that would remove the cloaks from a lot of people and help them to really open their eyes to the understanding of what's going on in our world.
Mm. Well, let's from Solomon's mouth to our God's ears. So I hope that happens. So
Yes,
go right ahead and channel if you're whatever is necessary. We'd love to experience this with you, and we thank you for your time tonight.
absolutely. So it'll just take me a minute to get into trance.
Oh, no problem. Now we're from our sponsor. No, I'm kidding.
Greetings, our brothers and sisters. We are delighted to join in this momentous occasion in the evolution of your species and your planet. We are here with a reminder that the photon belt has accelerated exponentially. What does it mean, our dear ones? This means that the frequency and the energy experienced by humans on your planet will be palpable for many. And those who have been on the spiritual path of awakening for some time, as you understand it in your time continuum, will experience this energy in much more profound and magnitude of ways. We in the higher realms, when humans experience what you term to be solar flares, we in the higher realms use the terminology cosmic codes of expansion. And what do we mean by these terms, our dear ones? What we are here to explain is that the energy that is coming in to your planet at this time has been exponentially increased so that more percentage of humanity will have an opportunity to remove the cloaks and the blindfolds of those who have succeeded in putting much of your humanity into a sleep-like state, if you will. And we are not coming with this as judgment. This is actually an opportunity for more on your planet to awaken. And how is this accomplished? Simply unplug from what you term to be the matrix on your planet. This is a system of control meant to keep your species at an unevolved state of consciousness. And we are here to lovingly remind each and every one of you that the goal of the soul in incarnating on your planet at this time is for expansion and evolution, of bringing an energy of the higher dimensions and integrating that energy into each one of your existence. We have heard many humans speak of the new Earth as if this is a planet that you will travel to, and we are delighted to explain to you that the new Earth consciousness has already been anchored on your planet. The quantum, or the fifth dimensional dimension, as you understand it on your planet, is simply an evolved state of being and awareness in which the human's vibration is at a state of frequency in a resonance that brings others in a similar resonance into their awareness, therefore creating what you would term to be heaven on earth. And we are delighted that these new energies have integrated on your planet at this time. And there was an influx of these energies on the equinox of this timeline. And we are open for any questions at this time.
I just commenting on what you just said, that we have the, I guess, not assignment, but we've agreed to bring higher energies down through us onto Earth. Is that correct? Am I to understand that correctly?
Every human that is incarnated on the planet at this time has a soul signature. However, there are some souls that are newer souls, as you would understand. They have not had as many lifetimes on your planet. However, they also play a role in the evolution and the ascension of Mother Earth, just as the older souls have agreed. The older souls that are mainly star seeds have agreed to anchor and hold energy. And we are here to remind the star seeds and the older souls who have understood their mission for some time to remain anchored in a higher vibrational frequency in order for more integration of light to infiltrate into the physical body, which will in turn ripple out and affect others on your planet.
Huh. So they're almost like little transmitters, basically, individual transmitters of sorts, huh?
We agree and love this terminology.
That's very interesting. I've felt that too with certain light workers, that there's a sort of duty to deliberately stand taller, if you will, and hold up the tent, or hold up the lower ceiling. Is there a possibility of humans failing this goal?
The spiritual law of free will is always in place, and this law is also in all planets, star systems, and galaxies throughout the cosmos. And those of us in the higher realms will not interfere with the free will of humans in the expression of their humanity. However, we have received permission, if you will, from the higher councils that we are able to intervene in the situation of nuclear, as this affects many throughout the galaxy.
I've heard that we thought it was to not destroy ourselves, but it seems like it's polluting the rest of others. It's polluting others in space. Is that correct?
All beings are connected, yes. And this is what we are helping to remind humanity of, is the unity consciousness, that each one of you is connected to the other, and in turn are also connected to all the beings in all of the galaxies.
Interesting. So can you explain timelines just a little bit? Is it possible that some human beings will experience an enlightened life and others will not?
This is accurate. A timeline, as best as we can understand and explain it in human terms, is an energy signature that is created when a human creates thoughts and in turn creates words. Then this creates an energetic signature which anchors in a timeline. So when more of a percentage of humans begin anchoring in a similar frequency, then that timeline anchors in for those individuals. And this is why many are experiencing what some humans are terming the upside down world, or different realities of worlds on your very planet at this time. This is simply an awareness. It is simply a timeline that humans are vibrating on. Therefore, that is their reality.
So is it possible to have such a such a separation of timelines, that one timeline is with like the destruction of humanity, and one timeline is where humanity goes on to a higher light? Can two directly opposing such extreme levels coexist?
Our dear ones, they are coexisting in this moment as you understand it, and understand that time in our dimension is very different than it is in your reality. However, there are two timelines that anchored in the year that you understand to be 2019. That is when two realities anchored in and each human had the free will opportunity to anchor their energy onto one or the other timelines. Now, this is a simplistic version of this, as there are many, many timelines, but we are explaining the different realities that humans are witnessing at this time on your planet.
Fascinating, because I would say that was when I felt a lot of darkness, if you will, was in 2019. And it continued to get darker and darker in 2020 and 2021. Were there timelines overlapping during that time? Because I know I wasn't choosing the dark.
These timelines were very much overlapping, and the human channel, Jill, actually brought through words of prophecy in 2019, which explained in a way that there were two trains, and this was the way of explaining it for humans to understand, that there were two trains, and that for many years, as you understand time on your planet, that each human could choose a different train, and the trains would be operating simultaneously beside each other, and each human could see friends and family and acquaintances on other trains, so to speak. However, she was told that there would come a moment where these timelines would separate to the point where people would not be able to understand the other train's energy, so to speak. And this is what has been witnessed on your planet.
Wow. Is that time now over? I mean, are the timelines separate from this moment we're speaking?
We are going to explain this in the highest version that we can, because in our realm, time is not linear as it is in your dimension. However, every human has free will to choose a different train, in the analogy that Jill used so many years ago. However, the reality of the timelines are separating to a point where it is becoming unrecognizable for humans to understand the reality of the world as seen by some other humans through their lens. And this, as we can understand from our dimension, will continue through the year of 2025, and it becomes more and more separated. However, we would like to help each one of you understand that through this separation also brings more of a unity consciousness, because whatever timeline each human chooses anchors in more of an understanding with the collective consciousness that they are vibrating within at that time.
Yeah, we get closer. You can feel that. It feels, I have a hard time actually even relating to the other side now. Whatever, I have a hard time. I really, and I've been focusing. It feels like the train I'm on is starting to move faster, and I'm very hopeful and excited. Can we be very excited about Earth's future? I mean, that seems to be, from my understanding, its legacy is to just get brighter and better. At least one timeline is supposed to. One train's heading for something beautiful, right?
Absolutely. And those who anchor in the frequency of love, and we like to remind humans to learn to view the heart chakra of other humans and to see if there is a pure heart vibrating in the heart chakra. And this will help each human understand compassion, because some humans on your planet stepped onto what you would understand to be a hamster wheel and got caught up, if you will, on that energy and became confused with their own reality. And so we remind each one of you that the highest version of the fifth dimension anchoring in is to understand, to let go of division, to let go of judgment, and let go of separation, and to anchor in the frequency of love. And through this vibration, the lens of the new earth is here, and the colors and the music and the connection to the animals and the veils are so much thinner. There is much to celebrate, our dear brothers and sisters, and we in the higher realms are celebrating with each one of you.
Okay, yay. That makes me feel good. It feels like that. I mean, since a young boy, I felt like that was the destiny of Earth, that we could become incredibly happy. And when will we come to a 5D in this reality as we know it? Like, will it still look the same and smell the same and whatnot? Because there's a back and forth opinion about, what that is like. Is it more of a feeling inside of myself with what I see, in brighter colors? Or am I, having, other experiences that I've never had before?
The best way that we can explain this is that the fifth dimension brings in a frequency. And within this frequency, the vibration causes the experience of the human to change through their lens. And we can give you an example. Those who are able to see the spirit world from time to time, whether it is a shadow or a full apparition of a loved one, have tapped into that vibration, if you will, and that comes and goes depending on the frequency. It is the same with anchoring in the fifth dimensional frequency of the new earth. It becomes more of that human's experience in which they remain anchored more often. So yes, the experiences are more joyful. The experiences are more colorful. The vibration of the music and the sound is experienced in a more profound way.
Wow, fascinating. Okay. That sounds really exciting. What do you feel the best thing we can do for ourselves to accelerate this process without friction would be?
We recommend each human going to what we would term the core and the essence of your being, and to understand the layers within the personality, to understand the layers of the ego, and how to harmonize that energy of the ego with the higher self. And with that harmony brings more of the full expression of each human into their divinity.
So it sounds as though we were to keep the ego, just retrain it. Is that correct?
Yes, we have heard many on your planet use the terminology of the death of the ego, and we lovingly remind each human that part of the human experience is the ego. This is the identity of each human and how they express themselves to the collective.
Wow. Okay. Excellent. That's good. Really good and helpful for me as a teacher, because there's been that debate in the two sides, as what we're meant to do. And so, how does the expression of heart and manifestation work? Are we truly connected to our consciousness of the world, and does it truly respond to our heart's will?
When the human is vibrating in a frequency of unity and a frequency of love, then this transmutes to the full expression of that human. And we are also wishing to remind each one of you to remember your sovereignty. And this is why it is so vital to unplug from what you understand to be the matrix, which is simply a mechanism of control to keep more of humanity in an unawakened state of awareness. When each human remembers and reawakens to their sovereignty, they step into their full potential and remember that their potential is infinite.
How would you define sovereignty? It's a word I keep hearing a lot, by the way.
The sovereignty, in the best way that we can explain in human terms, is the essence and the connection to the spark of the Creator. Each human represents a spark of Creator, and that very energetic signature is what is represented by sovereignty.
Wow. Okay. So it's the freedom to express one as an individual is sovereignty. And do we and so therefore we don't really need necessarily the interference of other humans. Really, we just the space and freedom to do so. Yes.
This is accurate and this is correct. When a human can understand to go within and to harmonize and integrate the ego and the higher self and tap into the blueprint of their soul signature for this incarnation, they in turn create a frequency that ripples out and will affect the humans that are in their aura. And it also creates an expansion of energy on the planet as well.
Wow. So by by enlightening ourselves, we help others. Period. Sounds like
This is true. This is correct.
And all we need to do is work on ourselves, and then others will benefit regardless. Is what you're saying.
Our dear brothers and sisters, it is not the responsibility of each human to utilize their sacred energy in trying to help someone else remove the barriers from their own eyes and help them bear witness to the truth from that individual's awareness. It is each human's responsibility to go within and understand how they are meant to express themselves in this incarnation, which in turn will assist the rest of humanity and the collective on their own awakening, as well as your Earth Mother.
Our Earth Mother, in the sense of the planet, you mean?
The planet, yes.
Gaia, she's quite alive and very patient.
And she has a consciousness as well.
And do all planets have consciousness as well? Yes.
All planets have consciousness, yes.
And stars?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Is your civilization in contact with those planets and stars? Does society reach a point where that's possible?
Yes, this is very possible. And those of us in the higher realms understand that while we may represent as a certain species, we are connected to each soul in each dimension, on each star system, and each planet as well.
Well, and I guess I have one final question for you. You've been very gracious with your time. What is the Pleiadians' interest in Earth? I know it seems to be some sort of a duty, but is there also a curiosity about us or a fascination that's personal?
We as Pleiadians are excited to understand the human emotion of empathy. And it is one of our missions, if you will, to help and assist humanity in celebrating their empathy while also understanding how to learn not to react, if you will, how to come to a place of stillness and full connection to all that is while maintaining their empathy at the same time. And this is very exciting for those of us in the higher realms.
Wow. Well, it looks on our side like we're not doing a great job at it. But if you're excited, then we're excited. So, well, thank you so much, Solomon. We're so, I speak for Earth in this moment. I say we're so grateful for your influence and your help, especially now in this time. It makes us feel a lot better. I know I speak for a lot of my audience and saying it really does make us feel a lot better that we don't have to do it all alone.
And we would like to thank each and every human who has stepped into holding the frequency of light as this assists those of us in the higher realms with our mission as well. So we applaud you and we congratulate you, and we send our love and our blessings until next time, and that is all.
Thank you. Hi. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just...
Oh, go ahead. Take your time. We went out for a drink on the fifth dimension. It was great. Just kidding.
Okay.
I know, it was fun. It was nice. Yes, very nice. Very kind and polite.
Yes, yes. I love Solomon's energy. Very loving.
Yeah, that's nice. It's nice that it gets that way as we move up in the cosmos.
Yes. Absolutely.
It seems. I think my biggest interesting takeaway was that it seems like we're already come to a separation of society. It seems like, to the most part, it sounded like we only have a little time left where we'll recognize the other choice.
It's so interesting because as humans, and even for myself, Christopher, understanding that it's not about division and not about saying, the other side, but what we are witnessing is different realities that, so it's different experiences. And are we choosing to experience this incarnation through the lens of equality and abundance for all and non-judgment and unconditional love? Are we choosing to experience our reality within that energetic, realm? And those who are in resonance with that will begin coming more into our awareness. And that's why it seems to be a separation, if you will.
Well, I mean, it's for us light workers, it's cutting right through our family. It's a close cut. It's close to home, literally.
Yes.
And I'm seeing people, duck out at the last hour, which I thought weren't. Last minute, whoops, exit of the bus. So it's a bit more dramatic. I imagine, come back 1,000 years from now, or even 100 years from now, and maybe what we call primitive or whatever. Like we do now, we look at some humans as primitive. I don't think it's right, but clearly division. I'm not wearing a cloth loin and hunting my food. It's a completely different world. So it happens actually that we do separate like that. So maybe it's just the first time we're really conscious of that separation, of people choosing to stay one way and other souls choosing to move on. And it's not as dramatic. For some reason, I don't know why. I have to meditate on this. That for some reason, I felt like we had to convince all of us that we're all going to hell. Like either we all go, we all go. It seemed to have that. I don't know where that belief came from. But
Yeah.
it seemed to be present. And I'm just realizing, talking to the Pleiadians, like, no, that's not true at all.
Yeah, and years ago, I understood that there is no hell. It's just, something that religion uses to control
Yeah.
people. And I feel like that it's so important for us to remind ourselves not to judge others. And again, as human, Jill, I'm saying this to myself too, because when you witness the harm that people are going through,
Yeah.
that is very real. And to be honest, I've struggled with that myself, Christopher, because as a spiritual teacher, I teach my students about spiritual bypassing and how important it is not to use that it's all love and light, and I don't want to give my energy there. So I've struggled with that, because what Solomon continues to teach us is that those of us who understand and have awakened, that literally our opportunity right now is to keep our vibration anchored in that unconditional love, the non-judgment, the compassion, even for those who have, chosen a different path.
Yes. Yeah. And actually, I mean, if you do lower yourself, so to speak, and become mean or anything, you're slowing yourself down. I mean, it's not self-serving whatsoever. I think many know that. I just think that because we saw the separation right in front of our eyes, and plus we had just been, I mean, in this lifetime alone, I mean, it seems like we made a huge difference in thinking that we're isolated, individuals maybe in the 60s, or 50s certainly, really isolated home family units where we're different, and, to now this more this unity consciousness, even more like my brother and sister. Just in this 50 years, 60 years, we've gone really far and fast in understanding that. So it used to be that we were judging ourselves as different by being better than in 1950. And now we're just now saying I'm better than my last version of myself, comparing ourselves to ourselves instead of comparing ourselves to others. So really, it's been pretty fast if you think of it,
Yes, it is. And, those of us who continue to bring more light into our physical bodies, that's why it does seem like time is speeding up.
Oh, yeah.
Because time in the higher dimensions is not the same as it is. It's faster. It's non-existent, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it, but I know this hour went by quick. It certainly goes quick. You have a lot of. It looks like you have an introduction to an intuition course. I mean, clearly the woman knows what she's doing. I think you'd be a great teacher. What else can we learn from you on the side?
Yes, I have an entire school. I teach mediumship, and I recommend that everyone really start with the intro to intuition that kind of helps understand frequency and energy and vibration. So many times we want to start channeling Nostradamus and going to channeling and using all the tools. But the way I teach is by foundations. And when we anchor in the foundations in a really strong way and then continue building from that, then we don't self-destruct, along our path of expanding our gifts.
Yes, absolutely. And the more we learn, I mean, I'm amazed at how much my intuition has grown just from practice every day. So, I've no doubt it can be learned by anybody. We all have the gift. It's a matter of honing in on it. And someone like you is truly a gift in that sense of being a forerunner. So thank you for being brave and putting yourself out there.
Thank you, Christopher. And thank you for all that you do as well. Love your work.
Oh, thank you so much. If you stay after class, stay after backstage for a minute. I was looking at your chart. I want to give you a couple of things I see that are cool. So
awesome.
That'd be great. But thank you so much. We have to have you on again, especially when the Pleiadians land. That'll be fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Christopher.
Great. Thank you, Jill. Thank you. Yay. Wow. My goodness. Yeah, maybe I love this direction of having alien species on for guests. That's really cool, man. It's really cool. In fact, I never even thought of that. I think of a lot of cool stuff, but I didn't think of that when I was thinking about this show. I really didn't. It didn't come to mind. But I'm real grateful for Jill and Solomon. Thank you very much. And I'm honored that they would come on my show. I'm really honored. So thank you everyone for being a great audience too and helping anchor that. It's going to be an interesting time. I'm just going to close the show with this, that, the astrology shows that, in fact, that's exactly what's happening. I mean, if you all watch me and you know that literally we were predicting that the sun crossing the Neptune just a couple days ago was pretty much the door starting to close, as far as the divide is concerned. And now that we're in Aries, I think it's a new birth of an ego, what I call the we-go. So I call the we-go and the ego. And so you can define it in those terms. So, I mean, it all checks out from what I'm seeing from my galactic eyes that indeed there's a divide going on. And what I liked about this message was that it's okay. It sounds like it always happens this way. It's not so apocalyptic as some would have us believe. So, all right, folks. Well, we're so grateful to have you here. If you haven't noticed, we do have this new show. AstroMingle now comes out at its own time. It's independent. It's streaming live, and that will continue to be the way. And while you're out there, folks, soaking in the new cosmic rays, just remember that I love you and I appreciate you. See you next week. Live, love, be.
Are you a practitioner looking to move your life's work into the spotlight? Do you have that special magic that makes you stand out? Serious Joy is now auditioning for its new Practitioner of the Week segment on Namaste Today. Sensei Christopher is looking to highlight qualified lightworkers with a promo short dedicated to raising awareness about your gifts. Interested? Contact Jenny at intuitive.com to apply for an audition and get ready to shake what your spirit gave you.
Coming up this week on Serious Joy, the Mega Monthly Zodiac Report is on the way. It's Aries season and we're christening the Migo. Is your ego ready for the reboot? Join me, Sensei Christopher Witecki, and lead astrologer Robbie Hunt as we join forces to kick off a new astrological year. Premiering this week on SeriousJoy.com.